Hi, welcome to Half Haunted. Today we're unpacking Thanksgiving's true origins. I'm with my lovely co-host Raji. Hello, Raji.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome to Half Haunted. Today we're going to uncover the hidden truths behind the history's most fascinating events. I'm your host, Candi. Again, we're with Raji. We're peeling back the layers of a story you thought you knew. Thanksgiving, a holiday beloved for its warm gatherings and delicious feasts. But what if I told you the first Thanksgiving didn't happen at Plymouth Rock at all?
Mm-hmm.
It took place in St. Augustine, Florida.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I know, I didn't either. Stay with us as we unpack the real history, explore legends, and reveal the forgotten tales behind Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving tale we all know. Thanksgiving, a time for family, feasting, and gratitude. Most of us grew up learning that a story begins in 1620. The Pilgrims, fresh from the arduous journey, the Mayflower, celebrated their first successful harvest in Plymouth. They invited their Native American allies, the Wampug, to join them in a
is it Wampanoag?
maybe Wampanoag, to join them in a feast of friendship and faith. It's a comforting story, a symbol of unity and resilience. But history is rarely so simple. Beneath the surface lies a tale of conflict, survival, and culture exchange far more complex than what we learned in school, and perhaps even more surprising. Thanksgiving as we know it might have its true origins over half a century earlier in sunny St. Augustine, Florida. Before the Pilgrims, St. Augustine's forgotten feast. Let's turn back the clock. 1565. Spanish Admiral Pedro Mendez de Alvarez and 1800 settlers made landfall in Florida's coast, establishing St. Augustine, the oldest continuously occupied European settlement in now what is the United States. Upon arriving, Mendez and his crew held a Catholic Mass for Thanksgiving to express gratitude for their safe voyage. They didn't celebrate alone. They invited the Temecula people, the local Native American tribe, to join them in their shared meal. What was on the menu, you ask? Well, let me tell you. Salted pork, garbanzo bean stew, hard sea biscuits, and no, not the horse. The red wine, and starters. Today's journey. The Temecula may have contributed local foods like maize, squash, though we can't be sure, but one thing is certain, the event was a moment of survival and connection between the two cultures, a true Thanksgiving in spirit, not in name. Crazy though, hard biscuit.
Yeah.
Jokes aside though, I might just be a regular biscuit maybe.
Okay,
I'm
because
not sure.
a hard sea biscuit.
So why don't we celebrate St. Augustine's feast? We commemorate this early Thanksgiving. The answer lies in the story we choose to tell about America's origins. The Plymouth Thanksgiving fits neatly into the mythology of America's founding. It represents Protestant ideals of religious freedom and the promise of a new world. A Catholic Mass led by Spanish settlers doesn't align with this narrative, especially since early American historians were often staunchly anti-Catholic. Additionally, the Plymouth story emphasizes a harmonious relationship between settlers and Native Americans, despite the historical reality of being far more fraught by comparison. The St. Augustine's feast, while a moment of gratitude, was part of Spain's broader colonial ambitions, which brought conflict suffering to Native populations. The legacy of St. Augustine's first Thanksgiving. Today, St. Augustine's first Thanksgiving is remembered through landmarks like the Mission of Nombre de Dios, which commemorates the settlers landing with a towering cross. Nearby, the Castillo de San Marcos stands as a symbol of the city's turbulent history. The 17th century fortress, constructed from cocina, a shell limestone, witnessed centuries of war, colonization, and tragedy. Its haunted reputation stems from a past, including its use as a prison for Native Americans. Visitors report ghostly apparitions, eerie phenomenon, such as the usual footsteps and chilling whispers. These spectral reminders underscore the complicated legacy of Thanksgiving, a story of gratitude overshadowed by conquest and loss. Thanksgiving's haunted history. Speaking of haunting, the Castillo de San Marcos, a hotspot for paranormal activity, its walls hold stories of love, betrayal, and injustice. Among the most famous tales is the ghost of Chief Skoala, a Seminole leader captured and imprisoned there, decapitated. Is that how I said? Decapitated? Yeah. After his death, the restless spirit is said to linger within the fort. Visitors have also reported the scent of otherworldly perfume, the sensation of unseen hands brushing past them. A green patina cannons, now silent, seem to echo memories of forgotten battles. These ghostly encounters remind us that history is never as distant as it seems. The same is true for Thanksgiving, a holiday rooted in both celebration and sorrow. A complicated legacy. As we reflect on Thanksgiving's origins, the clear holiday carries a complicated legacy. The shared meals in Plymouth and St. Augustine were fleeting moments of connection amid centuries of conflict. The ideals of unity and gratitude are real, but they coexist with stories of displacement, survival, and resilience. Acknowledging this complexity doesn't diminish Thanksgiving, it enriches it. Understanding the full history, we honor the diverse voices that shape the tradition and celebrate with greater awareness and purpose. That's interesting.
Ooh. Yeah, it is.
I never knew about St. Augustine either.
Neither did I. I know some people, Black people, do not celebrate Thanksgiving, so there's a whole history with that too, and I couldn't even tell you, do homework on it or tell you anything about it right now. I looked it up last year, but it wasn't enough for me to set in my mind and, so forth. Like, I'm going to be home by myself on Thanksgiving. I could care less right now. It's because I'm trying to heal myself from illness.
I celebrate it because I'm thankful for all the stuff I have. Well, and the food's good, but
And I like it. My family wanted us to stay in New York over Thanksgiving, which would have been nice. Maybe next year, but that would be good. But anyway, on with the of our.
There's some stories that pertain to the St. Augustine and Castillo de Marcos, and I'll let you tell those ghost stories.
A dangerous perfume. According to legend, a local man with an interest in architecture uncovered a hidden secret while exploring the fort. He was walking when he heard a hollow sound coming from one of the walls. After removing it, exposed the hidden cavity within the fort and illuminated it with his lantern. Inside, he found the skeletal remains of two individuals chained to the wall. He soon realized who they were: missing lovers Dolores and Manuel. In 1784, Colonel Garcia Marti and his young wife Dolores arrived in St. Augustine to start a new life. The colonel was assigned a handsome and charming assistant named Captain Manuel Abela, who Dolores welcomed with open arms. So it was about to go down. It was a cold man, too occupied with the fort and his soldiers to pay attention to his wife. Neglected and mistreated by her husband, Dolores sought love from another man, Captain Abela. One day, Abela reported for his daily meeting with Colonel Marti. While shaking Abela's hand, the colonel took a deep breath and narrowed his eyes in recognition. Marty had just smelled his. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right. So in shower, Marty had just smelled his wife's perfume on the captain and immediately knew they were having an affair. By the next day, both Dolores and the Captain Abela were nowhere to be found. When questioned about Dolores' disappearance, the colonel claimed she had suddenly become ill. and taken to her aunt's home to recover. He also explained she would be moving back to Spain to live with family. And when he was questioned about the whereabouts of Captain Abela, the colonel claimed he was sent to Cuba on a special assignment. His story was strange since Dolores didn't seem ill, and Abela wouldn't have never left without saying goodbye to his fellow soldiers. Despite the doubts, however, the colonel was never questioned further. It wasn't until their bodies were discovered that the truth came to light. Colonel Marty had kidnapped the couple and locked them away, left to starve within dark, cold walls of San Marcos. But it wasn't all bad. At least now there was an explanation for the harm. People touring the Castillo have reported smelling a sweet, flowery perfume and feeling as if they're being watched. Once you smell the strong scent, the hairs on the back of your neck will stand, leaving you with the feeling you've just encountered a restless spirit.
That's crazy.
Hours? Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay.
I don't know if they're roses or what. Like, I'm out.
All right, we are off to the Shadow Man. Local lore has always explained the unidentified ghostly figures said to haunt the fort. In 2018, our CEO and general manager were visiting St. Augustine on business. Being avid ghost hunters, they decided to walk over to the fort to take photographs at night. They were taking photos on the top portion of the fort when they saw a shadow figure walking over the drawbridge below. They described the character as being an average height and build. Believing it was a man, they waited for him to pass so they could continue taking pictures. When the person failed to walk into the Castillo, they looked over and realized there was no one there. They just seen an apparition. Both of them described the figures as the clearest shadow person they've ever seen. But don't take our word for it. Many visitors have seen this mysterious man walking the Castillo. He is said to pace back and forth by walls, and some even have spotted him walking outside the fort. Theories as to who this man is range from the spirit of the dead soldier to a frightening interdimensional entity. Although we might never find out who this spirit is, a look into the past might help us begin to answer some of our many questions. Oh, Troy Taylor, a Thanksgiving ghost story.
This guy here, Troy Taylor, on a side note, he's a famous, he's kind of like a cool author, and he has an actual shop in Alton, Illinois that I went to see, that museum down there a couple months ago in the summertime, with all kinds of oddities in there. So this is a story from him.
Troy Taylor, a Thanksgiving ghost story. The Hotel Del Coronado in San Diego is one of the most beautiful hotels in the world. I've never stayed there, passed by it multiple times.
Me either.
And some say the most haunted. The ghost story that has long been attached to the hotel is unique in that it is one of the only Thanksgiving ghost stories that is told. That I did not know about. It involves a young woman named Kate Morgan who checked into the hotel Thanksgiving Day in 1892 and never checked out. When the Hotel Del Coronado opened in 1888, it was the largest resort hotel in the world. Wow. In the middle, it looks small compared to everything. Yeah, it's like a regular old, I don't know, Hojo or Johnson's for those who don't know. We call them Hojos. Okay. When the Hotel Del Coronado opened up in 1888, it was the largest resort hotel in the world. In the middle 1880s, the San Diego area was the middle of a real estate boom. To draw people to the area, several wealthy businessmen went together and built the Hotel Del Coronado. We just call it the Coronado. The popularity of the hotel was established before the 1920s. It already had hosted Presidents Harrison, McKinley, Taft, and Wilson. The hotel went on to host Presidents Franklin D. Roosevelt, Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. By the 90s, Hollywood stars and starlets discovered the Del was the in place to stay. Many celebrities made their way south to party during the era of Prohibition and used the Hotel Del as their personal playground. Tom Mix? I don't know who that is. Rudolph Valentine. Charlie Chaplin and Ramon Novarro were a few of the many actors who stayed at the hotel during the weekend getaways. Their notables have included Marilyn Monroe, Thomas Edison, L. Frank Baum, Vincent Price, Babe Ruth, and many others. During World War II, the hotel was used to house and the families of officers. By the end of the war, the neglected hotel has started to age, and while millions were spent to refurbish it, a new owner in 1963 planned to tear it down, but he changed his mind and remodeled and expanded it instead. It remains today as one of the most beautiful resorts on the West Coast, and one with several ghosts. The hotel's hauntings include the ghosts of a little boy and a girl, a former hotel caretaker seen in the dining room, and a Victorian woman who has been dancing in the ballroom. But there is none as famous as the ghost of Kate Morgan. As mentioned, Kate checked into the hotel on Thanksgiving Day in 1892, and she never left. While guests and employees believe that most of the paranormal events that occur at the hotel can be connected to Kate, witnesses report flickering lights, televisions that turn on and off by themselves, dramatic shifts in room temperatures, odd scents, unexplained voices, the sound of strange footsteps, mysterious breezes which cause curtains to billow when windows are closed, and objects move on their own accord. And some claim to have seen the ghost of Kate Morgan herself. Kate Morgan, a pretty woman in her mid-20s, checked into the Coronado alone on Thursday, November 24, 1892, Thanksgiving evening. During her stay, hotel employees, many of whom had frequent interactions with Kate, reported that she had appeared ill and very unhappy. She had also told quite a few employees that she was waiting for her brother, who she said was a doctor, to join her, but he never showed up. 5 days after she checked in, Kate was found dead on an exterior staircase leading to the beach. She had a gunshot wound to her head, which the San Diego County coroner later determined was self-inflicted. A search of her hotel room revealed no personal belongings. In fact, there was nothing to identify the beautiful stranger except the name she used when she registered, Lottie A. Bernard from Detroit. After her death, police sent a sketch of Kate's face and information about her death to newspapers and police stations around the country, in the hopes that someone would shed light on the dark mystery surrounding the suicide of the unknown girl at Coronado Hotel. Eventually, Lottie Bernard was identified as Kate Morgan, originally from Iowa and the wife of Tom Morgan. Reportedly, Tom Morgan was a gambler who may have made his living gambling on the railroad. After the inquest into Kate's suicide, a gentleman came forward to say that he had seen Kate arguing with a man thought to have been Tom on a train en route to San Diego. The witness said Tom disembarked before reaching San Diego, and Kate continued on to the hotel by herself, where it is assumed she waited for Tom to join her. When he never showed up, Kate took her own life. Since the time, paranormal activity have been reported in the room Kate stayed in during room 3327, and in other areas of the hotel. She is the most enduring ghost of the Grand Hotel and continues her hold in the place. That is amazing.
I've always wanted to stay there, but I never gotten the chance to.
It's still there. It's still pretty.
Yeah, it is pretty.
Okay, well, let's talk about, for those of us who like a good holiday movie. So we have a top 10 of Thanksgiving movies.
We do.
All right. Top 10 Thanksgiving horror movies. Number 10, Thanksgiving.
That one's funny. I've seen it.
Cheesy and great.
The best one, in my opinion.
Oh my goodness. It's a killer turkey.
The killer turkey took no prisoners.
No, I thought a lot of smack. Have you seen Llamageddon yet? Okay, you need to write that. I mean, there's no Thanksgiving llama, but Llamageddon is wrong too. You know the
Llamageddon.
Llamageddon, yes. Okay, number 9, The Oath. That's from 2018, a dark and brutal, underrated political satire. Number 8, Black Friday. That's from 2020. a gore comedy starring Bruce Campbell. Oh, this one. I'm sorry with myself. Number 7, The Boneyard. That's 1991. A horror comedy with some serious scares early on. Number 6, Blood Rage, 1987. Let's see if I can even get this word out. And famously gruesome Thanksgiving slasher.
I've never seen that one.
Number 5, Deadly Friend. Wes Craven got in Thanksgiving.
I gotta watch these. I've never seen that.
I need what what you need is some Garrett popcorn from Chicago. It's what were they, old school big time rewind video
Cards, yeah.
old school. Hopefully it's not all scratched up and being played too long. Okay, Deadly Friend, 1986, Wes Craven's forgotten Thanksgiving horror movie. Number 4, Thanksgiving, 2020.
I've seen that one.
Eli Roth slasher set in the town of the first Thanksgiving.
That has Patrick Dempsey in it.
Mm-hmm.
That one's actually decent. I mean, it was a little over the top.
Okay,
You gotta watch that one.
I will have to watch.
It's funny.
Number 3, Intensity, 1997, an appropriately titled TV movie. Pilgrim, 2019, a shocking Thanksgiving bloodbath. Is that what the pumpkin on his head? I don't remember. That's probably another one. And Chrissy, I never even heard of this. So in 2014, a uniquely terrifying dorm invasion horror movie.
I've only seen 2 of them on that list.
Yeah. Right? But
Thanksgiving's my favorite.
Yes. So cheesy. Great. Lamageddon, I'm telling you. So another horror Thanksgiving, not movie, real life, was Candi and I had gone to a meet and greet in Tempe, Arizona. And at the time, she had a black Chevy Impala. She always kept it clean. So we parked the car on Mill Avenue, which, of course, Tempe is known for ASU, Arizona State University, Party Central, whatever. And I remember when we parked, there was a tree, and right across from the sidewalk from where we parked is a Birkenstock store. To me, Birkenstocks are ugly. It's a word we don't use all the time, so I remember things. So we had this nice meet and greet outside, coffee, people, and we
hot chocolate was amazing.
What?
The hot chocolate was good.
Hot chocolate. So we're walking back to the car, and we're walking, and we're walking, and we're walking. It's a Candi. Where's the car? And we're all looking around for this flipping car. Don't know where the car is. I said, I know we parked the car right here because that's the Birkenstock store. We could not find this car. Now, the meet and greets usually last about 7 to 9. People linger afterwards or whatever, but that's no big deal. If you're having a good time, you're having a good time. And I'm standing around, we're all looking around, and I look and say, oh my God, Candi, is that your car? And she's looking, and she did the alarm over. Birds shit on the car.
Why?
Okay, you know that one island where it's chock full of birds? It's like dropping your car off on this where the birds, but these birds will throw up on you. These birds shit all over her car. Now, this is before camera phones. Did we have cell phones back then?
It was in 2007, so we were starting to, but we didn't have the quality ones.
We were still balling on those disposable cameras we still buy at Walmart. So I'm sitting here and I didn't, no joke. When when you're at a red light, you see people who have crap all over the car and like, how dare you? And they're not even going to the car wash. They're just driving to get to work. It was covered in bird shit. The car was not black anymore. So I'm like, oh my God, we had to drive like 25 minutes to get home. Ew, Candi, what are you doing? She turns on the windshield wipers. That stuff.
Smears.
Speckled in these gray colors because the bird. It was like 100 birds just shit all over the car. And I'm sitting here freaking out. We had to drive across town to find a power wash. You're trying to not to get hit by the mist because the stuff. I'm crying, girl. I'm crying. It was yesterday.
We rolled up to the giant station. Remember that? And we had to take a picture, and I can't
The
find the
giant
picture
station
anymore. And it was like it's just white.
was it was probably I don't know if you had a light bulb on. Birds eat all kinds of multicolored things, so it looked like a melting pour paint project. It was disgusting. That's a Thanksgiving horror right there. Trying to
Yeah,
tell a car
trying to get in too was hard.
crap that. Now, we could all Google pictures of cars being crapped, so there is no reason to exaggerate. But it was amazing because these were baby trees, and they were nicely shaped round and stuff. So who would have thought there were 9 billion birds in the tree? And they were like, "Can't piss this off when she was over there on 27th Avenue. Let's come and shit on the car." It was bad. Bad. We didn't know. I thought she got towed and someone took her place. We did not see the car. It, I wish we had a picture of that. It was bad.
I took one at the time, and it's gone now. So I
Those,
don't
yeah,
know. I guess.
ghost in front of your old house probably took it.
You know who might have one, but I refuse to talk to. Next segment. Okay, so I have one more story.
Sorry.
And see,
I did it backwards, but it's all good.
it's okay. So, all right. So this next story is what's Thanksgiving Ghost. Its spirit haunts railroad line in New York. It's written by
Ooh.
Jennifer Jones on November 23rd, 2017. On Thanksgiving Day, 1902, southbound train was nearing Geneva, New York, and came upon the Marsh Bridge. As the train approached the bridge, the engineer and the firemen on board heard a piercing scream. When they looked up, they saw a white figure to the east of the bridge, frantically waving its arms. The engineer brought the train to a stop. As he did so, they heard another scream, and the phantom disappeared right before their eyes. The two men got out of the train and inspected the track and the surrounding area for the screaming weirdo they saw just moments before. Nothing was out of place on the track. There was no sign of any person or anything nearby. As they started across the bridge, they heard the shriek one final time. The train pulled into the station, and the men shared the odd experience from the other railroad workers. They learned that there was an accident on the bridge years prior. The engineer and the firemen both died when the train went off the Marsh Bridge. The article said that the fireman's body was lost to the quicksand and never recovered. Ever since
Whoa.
the accident, yeah, that's kind of scary. Ever since the accident, a shrieking phantom is said to be spotted on this bridge every year around Thanksgiving. Let me tell you, it's not easy to try and find out the events mentioned in the article from 1902 really happened or not. So this story, she wasn't sure if this was like a real story that happened or not. So I found this online, so I'm not sure. So, it says here, in 1902 really happened or not, or where it happened. I was starting to think this was just an urban legend, but I did find an actual event that was very closely matches the detail in this story. On March 2023, a train left Syracuse at 7:45 p.m. headed towards Rochester on Auburn Road. Within a half a mile of the town Geneva, the train ran into a sluice of water had washed out a bridge over Marsh Creek. The locomotive, tender, and the baggage car fell off the track and down the flooded waters. They practically disappeared under the water. Amazingly, the passenger cars stayed on the track, and none of the passengers or the rest of the crew were seriously injured. The same could not be said for the engineer and the fireman. Both disappeared, and due to the raging water, attempts to locate their bodies could not be made immediately. The body of the engineer, Ignatus Bulte, was found on the afternoon of Sunday, March 30th. The body of the fireman, Augustus Sipple, was found quite a distance away on March 31st. The incident became known as the Marsh Creek casualty or the Geneva disaster. Consequently, the families of the both men sued the railroad due to negligence in failing to properly maintain the bridge. Both families were later awarded money, but I couldn't find any connection to Thanksgiving Day. Maybe this is one of those urban legends meant to remind people how fleeting life can be, or maybe the spirits of the engineer where the firemen were simply trying to warn other railroad men of the dangers of the bridge. So it's one of these urban legends where there's a story and then it just maybe happened to happen on Thanksgiving, and maybe they thought that was it. I don't know. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the hidden history of Thanksgiving. Whether you're gathering with loved ones or enjoying a quiet moment of reflection, I hope this story adds to depth to your celebration. If you enjoyed today's special Thanksgiving paranormal episode of Half Haunted, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share. Until next time, stay curious, stay grateful, and keep seeking the untold story.